how you doing, everybody? Sean Lutz coming to you from my home studio here in Dallas, Texas. Today is October 29th, 2025. This is going to be episode number 5, Nick Lidstrom of See the Light Studios, Detroit Red Wings NHL update. Let's just jump into last night's action, folks. Detroit coming off of our come from behind and ended our slump against St. Louis. We played our second of our home and home against St. Louis on the road against St. Louis. Here we go. Let's just jump right in. We wanted to get off early and get a good start. Didn't happen. Cardinals send goal given up 47 seconds into the game. Detroit already down 1-0 at St. Louis, who's looking to avenge themselves from getting smoked, giving up a lead the previous game. Anyway, that didn't last that long. Ben Sherratt tied it up 1-1. And then in the closing minutes on the power play, Alex DeBrincat, who got off the snide in the game against St. Louis in the Little Caesars, he nets a power play goal. Bam, 2-1 Detroit. This was a cardinal sin for the St. Louis Blues in the closing minute of the first period. Anyway, that's going to take us into the second with the Wings up 2-1. They weren't done, folks. They're coming back. Larkin wins the draw. He taps it, wins the draw. Lucas taps it back to Edmondson, who back to Larkin. Bam, Detroit's up 3-1. Soderbaum gets in on the action. 4-1 Detroit. After 2, Detroit's winning 4-1. That's the 4 unanswered goals again by the Detroit Red Wings against the St. Louis Blues. Takes us into the third period. Decent play back and forth. I saw some things I liked, saw some things I didn't. I'm not gonna harp on those, but we hung in there. Gibson made some decent saves, but this got us late in the third period. With Kyrou finally getting on the board and narrowing the lead to 4-2, and they end up yanking Bennington there with like 4 minutes and some change left. That's a long ass time to go with an empty net there, and with the guys we have, Dylan Larkin, he comes in there, he nets a second on the empty netter there, seals a deal for Detroit, 5-2 with the Detroit victory. The Cup parade is back on, folks. That brings the Wings up to 7-3-0, and Larkin ended the night with 2 goals and assists there. But let's get into the other action last night, because what a packed day that was, eh? All 32 teams played last night. It was a jam-packed day of hockey. I hope you were able to tune in and flip around. I mean, I'm a big fan of the game, so I watch more than just Detroit, even though that's my primary focus. But nonetheless, last night's coverage, let's just get into it. Toronto was over Calgary 4-3. And then we had Pittsburgh in a shootout over Philadelphia. Crosby netting his 1,700 point. Then we had Washington coming into Dallas here, my secondary team, because I live here. Dallas ended up winning that one, a close game, 1-0. But really, nobody shot a puck in the net. Sagan's goal there was a deflection from the corner off the defenseman's stick. So Dallas wins that 1-0, but nobody shot a puck in the net. And then we had the next later we had Montreal in a overtime winner over Seattle. Mentioning Montreal because it seems like when we win, they win. When we lose, they lose. And we're still looking up to them. They're 2 points ahead of us in the standings. We still have a game in hand, though. So moving right along, and then these are the teams that we got coming up on our road trip here. LA was over San Jose. Both of these teams we got on the road trip there. And then we had Florida over the Stanley Cup champion Panthers, 3-2 in a shootout. Anaheim, we got it on a road trip. And then Vegas beat Carolina. Vegas, who we're playing on the way back, 6-3, they over Carolina. That was it for last night's coverage, man. That was a jam-packed day. 32 teams, like I said, all played. And So that means with all those games, we only have one game tonight, and that's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs heading into Colorado to face the Avalanche. That's going to be on a NHL network if you got that. Anyway, that's it for NHL. So now let's just touch a little bit briefly on our road trip coming up here. Our Wings next Wings game is going to be on Thursday against the LA Kings, who just won last night, by the way, that I mentioned. But that's going to be a long road trip. I mean, it was good to get off to good start against St. Louis last night. It's not a make or break us road trip, but you know, like we always say, the points that you get in October and the goals you score, the regulation wins in October and November, they matter come the closing months, weeks of the season, especially when you get into April and teams are battling, and there's a lot of parity in this league, and we don't want to be in the same situation we were in the last couple of years. Let's take care of business, folks. I'd like to at least, you know, do a 500 the remainder of this trip, but I want them all. I'm greedy. But that's going to wrap it up here, folks. Um, it's going to be an interesting road trip. You know, we want to see where we're at come U.S. Thanksgiving. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one. Be kind and nice to everybody. See you later.